the people of British Columbia and for the First Nations, particularly the people of Tahltan First Nation, another mining project moving forward. It's truly an honor to be here with you on the territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. I want to take a moment to recognize the Tahltan First Nation leaders who are joining us today online. Kerry Carlick, the President of the Tahltan Central Government, right here with us, the chiefs, and all Tahltan leadership and Iskut Van Council joining online. So welcome to all of you for being part of this very important announcement. I also want to gratefully acknowledge our other speakers this morning. My friend Premier David Eby, good friend of the responsible mining sector. John Mullally with us, Head of External Relations at the Newmont Corporation. And my friend Scott Lunny, Director of United Steelworkers District 3. He is also joined today by Brian Butler, President of the local 1937 union that is also responsible for the Red Chris mine. And Brian's member are heavy equipment operators and tradespeople. Today, we gather here to celebrate a very important milestone. The Red Chris expansion project is now approved to move forward to benefit the people of British Columbia and the people of Tahltan First Nation. This marks the 7th major mining project that has been approved over the last 18 months. In other words, our new mining project was approved every quarter of the year in the province of British Columbia. So the myth that it takes 12 years is not true. This achievement is a powerful example of what we can accomplish through genuine partnership when Tahltan Nation, industry, and government work together towards a shared vision. It's a story of hard work, community leadership, and trust. It reflects our community commitment to building something stronger together for the benefit of all British Columbians. It's now my honor to invite Premier David Eby to talk about the importance of this momentous occasion. David Eby.
Thanks, Jagrub. Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here on a very celebratory day, I think, for British Columbia. When I think about where our province is, where the country is, and where we need to go, every day there is more evidence that British Columbia is on the right track to ensuring that not just our province, but our whole country can stand on our own 2 feet in a time of global uncertainty, war, trade challenges. The strengths of British Columbia have always been in our people. And, of course, our unparalleled resources. These strengths, this foundation of the province's economy, are the backbone, the foundation for our work to ensure a bright future for British Columbians in uncertain times. You heard Minister Brar. In the last 18 months, seven major mining projects approved. A new mine or major expansion every quarter in British Columbia. Well, what does that mean? We're in the Lower Mainland right now. What does it mean for the interior? What does it mean for Vancouver Island? Well, there are hundreds of firms in this province. Everything from engineers to lawyers to manufacturers, equipment dealers who service the mining industry. The mining industry is not just the mine. It is the thousands and thousands of people across the province that ensure that British Columbia is an ecosystem of the mining economy, and that ecosystem is growing dramatically at a time when it's really needed. Today's announcement is an important one, and it is a unique one. One of the big challenges in our mining sector has always been that people believe it takes too long to get to permits, to be approved, and that relations with Indigenous people makes it too difficult to actually move forward with a project. Our government took that feedback. We sat down at the table with industry and First Nations and charted out a different path forward. A path where we worked in partnership from the very beginning of a project, from exploration all the way through to development, and those shovels finally going into the ground. And 7 projects approved in 18 months, as well as setting a record last year for exploration, mining exploration in this province, is the evidence that the plan is working. Today's announcement that the Red Chris mine expansion is approved is not just an announcement of the success of Newmont in bringing this forward. It's a story of the success of this company working with the Tahltan Central Government, with the provincial government, to do things differently, to sit down at the earliest stages, identify the concerns of the community, which may be environmental impacts, it may be ensuring that there are social benefits in the community that flow from having a very active major project in their community, but sitting down together, sorting it out, and moving forward. I want to thank President Carlick for his work and at the Tahltan Central Government. I'd like to thank Brian Butler and his team at 1937 Steelworkers, those workers that are literally in the mine, doing the work. And of course, I want to celebrate the fact that we have such an incredible team here at Newmont that was willing to engage in this way with Tahltan, the provincial government, to find the path forward on this crucial expansion for 1,500 jobs at the mine and 1,800 mine jobs constructing the expansion. This is why the Red Chris mine is a major project for British Columbia and for Canada. And that's why today's announcement is so exciting, not just for people up in Tahltan territory, up in the Northwest, for everyone who's going to be working in the mine, but for all of the companies and the workers across the province who support the mining sector. This is a great day for British Columbia. Very good news for everybody on a major project like this. And I'd like to thank everybody who was involved in delivering it for British Columbians. Thanks very much. I'll pass things over to John Mullally, or pardon me, to Scott Lunny.
No, it's come to me.
I'll pass it back to Jagrub Brar. You know, my odds were 1 in 3. I'll pass it back to Jagrub Brar.
Thank you, Premier, for your kind comments and the announcement, and for your ongoing exceptional support to the mining sector. Last month, I had the opportunity to spend time up north, meeting many Tahltan Nation members working at Red Chris, visiting Dease Lake and sitting down with Tahltan leadership to talk about the exceptional opportunities we have in Northwest when it comes to mining and economic development and sharing prosperity. And I'm now very happy to introduce Kerry Carlick, the president of the Tahltan Central Government. Now, before I ask him to make comments, I just want to say this to you, that he just took over this leadership role a few months back. And he has done an exceptional job to work with the province to move the mining project forward. Under his leadership, we have been able to move forward 2 consent-based agreements, the first ever in the country. So I want to say thanks to him for his exceptional work working with the government of British Columbia. With that, I would like to ask Kerry Carlick, the president, to make your remarks.
Thank you, Jagrub. You don't make me blush. Toktalon, Atia, Kerry Carlick, Ushia, Nasta, Tadana, Ke, Ushia, Siskia, Estasedi, Aha, Tokta. Good morning. My name is Kerry Carlick. My Tahltan name is Tahltan. I'm from the Crow Clan. I live here in East Lake, where I'm calling you from this morning. I had hoped to join you in person today with the chiefs from Tahltan Chief Jackson and Chief Marie. However, due to several recent losses in the communities, I am participating virtually out of respect for our families and our communities while we continue to grieve. I would like to acknowledge the Premier, David Eby, and the Government of British Columbia for their commitment to building a stronger relationship with the Tahltan Nation and demonstrating that true partnership can be successful in what it looks like. Today we mark a significant milestone in the advancement of the Red Chris Block Cave project, a project that represents opportunity, long-term prosperity, and responsible stewardship within Tahltan territory. This moment is about more than a mining project. It's about demonstrating that Indigenous rights, economic development, environmental responsibility can move forward together. Today's announcement, the Tahltan Nation's second base consent decision-making agreement negotiated under the province's Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples Act. This reflects years of dialogue, technical review, difficult conversations, and relationship building among the nation, the province, and Newmont. It demonstrates what can be achieved when government and industry engage with First Nations as true partners and from the start. Some have suggested that recognizing Indigenous rights, including the right to free, prior, and informed consent, creates uncertainty. Some have attempted to blow winds of fear about what the implementation of the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples Act might mean for investment, development, economic growth. And today, we have that answer once again. Standing together as the Tahltan Nation, the Government of British Columbia, and Newmont, being the world's largest gold producer and one of the most important mining companies in the world, we together have demonstrated again that respecting Indigenous rights does not create barriers to responsible development. It creates certainty, it creates stronger projects, creates better environmental outcomes, and it creates lasting benefits for Indigenous communities, local communities, workers, businesses, and all British Columbians. This project shows that when Indigenous nations are meaningfully involved in making decisions that affect their territories, the projects are stronger, not weaker. So I want to acknowledge the many Tahltan leaders, the citizens, the knowledge holders, negotiators, technical experts, and staff who have helped make this moment possible. I want to thank our partners in government and industry who have chosen to walk this path with us. So let today be remembered as more than an announcement about a project. Let it be remembered as proof that reconciliation and economic prosperity are not competing objectives. Let it be remembered as proof that recognizing Indigenous rights strengthens British Columbia. And let it be remembered as proof that partnership works. And let it be remembered as another step forward to a future where government and industry all succeed together. I want to thank everyone and thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning.
Thank you, President Carlick, for your kind words, and as I said earlier, for your exceptional leadership to be a good partner with the Government of British Columbia. We have huge potential, as you know, in Golden Triangle and Northwest. 11 major mining projects still waiting, and that would be altogether $30 billion investment and 10,000 jobs. So we need to continue working with you to make sure we do it responsibly, and so we do it in a way that your nation get also share prosperity in those projects. So thank you very much once again joining us. Next, I would like to introduce John Mullally, Head of External Relations and Social Performance at Newmont.
Thank you, Minister Brar, and thank you, Premier David Eby. I'd like to thank also all of the BC government officials that have worked tirelessly on these approvals. I'd like to thank Tahltan President Kerry Carlick for joining us virtually, Tahltan leadership and chiefs as well, especially thinking about Chief Marie Kwok, given her loss, the Council, Tahltan Central Board as well, the Lands Department, also who worked tirelessly on the environmental assessment, Tahltan negotiators as well. So there's a tremendous amount of people involved. Today marks a major milestone for Newmont's Red Chris Block Cave project, as we welcome British Columbia's approval of key regulatory authorizations. This important step advances the project toward a final investment decision later this year. With its mineral endowment, clean hydroelectric power, port access, support of governments, Indigenous economic leadership, Northwest BC is emerging as a world-class mining district. This project is situated in Tahltan territory, and Newmont is proud to have advanced the project through an Indigenous consent-based decision with the Tahltan Nation, reflecting our shared commitment to responsible resource development. These approvals enable the transition from open pit to block cave underground mining, with a potential to extend the operation into the mid-2040s and unlock the long-term value of this world-class mineral resource. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, John, once again for your continuous, support to this project, of course, and working with everyone. Finally, we are pleased to have my friend Scott Lunny, Director of USW District 3. So please, your comments.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister Brar, and thank you, Premier Eby, President Carlick, and John, and all the folks at Newmont. I'm the Scott Lunny, the Western Canadian Director for the United Steelworkers Union. Across Western Canada, we represent over 10,000 workers in the mining and smelting sector, over 6,000 in British Columbia, and of course, workers at the Red Chris mine. I'm joined, as was said, by Brian Butler, the president of the local that represents, among other members, the workers at Red Chris mine that are in the Steelworkers Union. The United Steelworkers Union, of course, supports the mining sector and the industry, and of course this important announcement today. Of course, we know we all need the resources that mining produces. We need the economic security and benefits of that, but we also need to ensure that the projects that we move forward advance our reputation as an industry here in British Columbia, across Canada, and abroad. When investment is announced, we want to make sure that it's investment that supports good jobs, union, family supporting jobs that are safe and deliver economic opportunity for communities, and that's what's happening in this case, and for not just the members of the Steelworkers, but for the Tahltan Nation and for communities in British Columbia. Our members that are members of our union are proud of the contribution they make to that economic prosperity. As was said, they're equipment operators, drillers, maintenance workers. They're the skilled workforce that allows us to collectively say that we're efficiently and safely and responsibly mining in British Columbia. At Red Chris, we have a good collective agreement. There's strong labor and safety standards. There's opportunities for workers to build careers, and importantly, there's the partnership with the Tahltan Nation that ensures there's local support and local benefits from the project. We need to have these kind of projects like the Red Chris expansion in BC, and we're glad that working people, that our union can be a part of that, to ensure that we continue to improve regulatory efficiency and certainty while we're protecting safety and health, ensuring community benefits for generations to come. And I think this announcement, and I'm glad to be here, this announcement is an excellent example of what we can achieve together to advance that for British Columbia and the people of British Columbia. So thank you.
Thank you, Scott, once again for your partnership in this case. I will be happy to continue working with you to ensure that BC has the safest mining sector in the country. Once again, I want to thank the Tahltan Nation for your leadership and partnership on this important project. Thanks to Newmont, of course, and all partners who have helped build this legacy. And thank you, of course, to the United Steelworkers for their partnership and advocacy, which ensure that mining remains the safest heavy industry in BC. I just want to say that you have listened to, of course, the BC government representative premier is here, and you have listened to the Tahltan First Nation. You have listened to the proponent of this project and the union leader. BC mining sector is a success story that we need to tell. BC mining sector is the fastest growing responsible mining sector in the country. We approved 7 major mining projects over last 18 months. And these mining projects together bring over $7 billion of capital investment. And that's creating thousands of jobs for the people of British Columbia and of course, for the First Nation people. And provide critical minerals critical to our low carbon economy and advance reconciliation with First Nations. The industry has been asking, for a long, long time for stability and certainty, including under the previous administration for 16 years, but nothing happened. We are taking real actions to provide that certainty and stability to the industry. We have already reduced the major mining application process timelines by 35% with the introduction of single application combined process and eliminating duplication. In Mount Milligan case, we were able to issue all permits in 9 months and save 60% of the time. And we have also implemented a fixed permitting timeline for the mineral exploration notes of work. We are the first and the only province to do that. And we will continue working with the industry, with First Nations, and all stakeholders moving forward to make BC mining sector globally competitive, responsible, sustainable for the people of British Columbia. So I will stop there and hand it over to the Q&As there.
Thank you, Minister, and thank you everyone for joining us today. We're going to take questions from the media now. All members of the media called upon will have 1 question and 1 follow-up. For media on the phone line, please remember to press *1 to enter the queue and to unmute yourself when called upon. We're going to start here in the room with Chuck Chang from the Canadian Press.
Thank you. This question is for the Premier. Premier, I was wondering how you feel about the safety at the Red Chris mine, considering the accident that happened last year. There hasn't been, as far as we know, any safety reports on what happened. What happened last year. Are you comfortable with the safety measures? And is there a report into what happened in terms of how it could play into this project in the future? Thank you.
Thanks, Chuck. We have a shared goal with steelworkers, with mine workers, with industry in the province, including Newmont, to have the safest mining sector in the world. That's our goal. When miners are working underground, they can be challenging conditions. There can be unexpected geotechnical conditions that they encounter. And so we have requirements. The mining sector takes initiative to ensure that there are safety mechanisms in place. For the incident that took place previously, where there was a collapse of some rock near some workers, the workers had a designated refuge area. They had all the safety equipment they required. They followed their training to a T. They were safe, and they were extricated successfully. It is, though, a reminder to all of us that we can't be complacent about mine safety. We have to ensure those safeguards are in place. Newmont is doing a review. Provincial government is doing a review to see whether there are any lessons that we can take to ensure that workers are safe, not just at that particular mine, but at every mine in the province. We take those lessons and deploy them right across the province. I don't know, Jonathan or Scott?
I can.
Jagrub?
Yeah, so first of all, I want to say this, the BC mining sector is the safest heavy industry sector in the province and in the country. When any incident happen at any mine, the BC government, we do our own investigation, working with all the stakeholders. And the company is also required to do their own investigation and provide a copy to us. During that investigation, if we find anything that could actually make the mining sector safer, we share that information with every mine as we go during that process. And of course, at the end, whatever we find, we share that knowledge and information with others. And if there's any action we need to take, we take that action as well. So it's going through that process, and we will let you know once we have all the reports in hand as to where we are in that case.
And
So on July 22nd, 2025, the fall of ground occurred in an area that was constructed by the previous owner. Newmont convened a group of third-party safety experts and our own internal people as well. We have completed that investigation. We've shared those findings with industry. And if we implement the findings, especially around ground support, ensuring that we implement Newmont's industry-leading safety practices, then it's our finding that we'll be able to build and operate the Red Chris Block Cave safely.
And thank you. Follow-up is for Premier. I can't help but notice your voice is a little hoarse this morning, as many Canadians are. I was hoping to, just wondering if that did come from your cheering from yesterday's game, and also considering the results, the possibility of Vancouver hosting an elimination match featuring Team Canada. Thank you.
Thanks, Chuck. I am a little hoarse this morning. I was screaming real loud for Team Canada yesterday, as was, as far as I could tell, the entire province and country. It was such an exciting game. I want to, of course, there were highs and lows during the game. To see a really serious injury to Mr. Kone, we're really worried about him, and we hope that he has a quick recovery. And to see his teammates rally and just keep putting the ball into the net over and over. It did activate a little bit of my inner Canadian, where I was like, guys, let's maybe back off a little bit. No, it was fantastic. It was amazing to see Team Canada do so well. We were hoping for a win. The team delivered beyond what any of us expected. And of course, now we just expect and want more. And so really going to be cheering super loud against Switzerland. Wanting more games in Vancouver with Team Canada. The city was electric last night. The province was active in every corner, and I hope everyone had a great time celebrating, and we want to celebrate some more.
Next, we'll head to the phone lines with Katie DeRosa from CBC. Go ahead, Katie.
Premier, we are, fast approaching the July 1st deadline for when Alberta is looking to submit its proposal for an oil pipeline to BC's coast. I know you've repeatedly said you're against any lifting of the tanker ban, but can you say just simply, are you against any oil pipeline to BC's coast, period?
Katie, the focus that we have as a province is on projects that have investors, are in environmental assessment, are going to be delivered to grow the Canadian economy. I know Alberta has its focus. But for us here today, the Red Chris mine expansion approvals, there's a private sector proponent, 1,800 construction jobs, more than $1 billion of investment. This is where our focus and attention is. I know Alberta is working closely with the federal government on their proposal. We are not at the table. We'll see what they bring forward. I can tell you with certainty that the idea of running a pipeline through to the North Coast will only jeopardize actual, real major projects that British Columbia has as well. LNG Canada Phase 2, Solism's LNG. Between them, more private sector investment in Canada than anywhere else in the country, and probably some of the largest industrial investments in anywhere in North America. So we are trying to focus hard and deliver on the projects that are going to make a difference for British Columbians and Canadians, and we're going to continue to do that.
Follow up, Katie?
I mean, when you say you're not at the table, you were just, met with the Prime Minister yesterday. Is there still an option for you to get to the table? And wouldn't that allow BC to push for, push against lifting the tanker ban? I couldn't help but notice there is now an Enbridge director who has been appointed by the federal government to the board of the Prince Rupert Port Authority. That seems like a potential attack on the very tanker ban you're talking about. So first of all, can you comment on that? And can you comment on, is BC going to get at the table so it can advance its position?
Well, just like Alberta, we're at the table with the federal government. We're at the table on the projects that are going to deliver for British Columbians. We have $250 million in training money for young people who are facing the threat of AI around their jobs, who are concerned about what their future is going to look like. Are they going to have a job that's going to pay them enough money that allows them to have a family, to have a home here in British Columbia? And the projects that we have, I think we're 60% of the projects at the Major Projects Office federally. Red Chris Mine here, today's announcement, the massive expansion, 1,800 of those jobs in construction alone. One of 7 major mining projects that we've approved. This is the work we actually discussed, the Red Chris Mine with the federal government. I discussed it with the Prime Minister yesterday. And I also discussed critical infrastructure projects for British Columbia, like the Massey Tunnel, like the North Coast Transmission Line that's going to enable electrification of the entire Northwest and reduce carbon pollution while improving mine operating economics and bring more of these projects forward. This is where our focus is, and it's where it's going to be, what will deliver for British Columbians and Canadians. And that's what we're really excited about, and that's where we're showing the progress.
Next, we'll head to Rob Buffum with CTV News. Go ahead, Rob.
Right. Oh, hi, Premier. Thanks for taking my question. I'm presently at a Pierre Poilievre press conference where the subject is your home, your property. He's yet to address the Cowichan Tribes, so I don't know if that's going to come up. But I wanted to get your thoughts on, should it come up as an issue, whether you view that type of politicking as fear-mongering.
Well, I understand, Rob, why you'd want to be on the phone with me instead of at that event. I don't blame you at all. Thanks for the call. We're focused on actually building the economy here in British Columbia, which includes working closely with industry and First Nations to build that confidence. You heard President Carlick talk about how he has worked so closely with Newmont, how his entire community has worked closely with Newmont to deliver this prosperity, not just for their own community, but for the entire province in delivering this kind of certainty. I'll say that there are other views out there. The BC Conservatives have said we need to stop talking with First Nations. I just fundamentally disagree that that is the path to delivering certainty around major projects that we're advancing here that are going to employ people. And not just at the project site, but across the province, in the interior, in the Lower Mainland, Vancouver Island, all of the firms that service these major resource projects. You know, when we talk about things like electricity, the fact that we have 14 clean electricity projects across the province that are also done in partnership with First Nations that are actually going to benefit all British Columbians, that kind of private sector investment, those are all private projects, creating jobs, creating opportunity, high paid jobs. That's the direction that we have to go. Dividing people right now, especially, you know, just think about the celebrations that we've had as a country coming together after a really tough time for Canadians just last night. That's where our success is in coming together and working together. And we're delivering on that. We're showing that. Minister Brar and his team in mining alone, 7 projects in 18 months in partnership with First Nations, thousands of jobs, billions in investment. And more to come. We look forward to the Red Chris final investment decision. We're very hopeful about that decision in the fall. And that is just one of many major projects in this province.
And Rob, do you have a follow-up for the Premier?
I do, by way of follow-up, and I look forward to seeing you in the flesh soon, Premier. By way of follow-up, I guess I wanted to get your reaction to Mine in BC hiring the former Homeland Deputy, or head of Homeland Security in the States, Kristi Noem, somebody who's been quite a controversial figure. And also, I don't know if there's anything to this, but a colleague with Global yesterday, when I was chatting with him, noticed that there was no land acknowledgement at yesterday's press conference. I did hear one this morning. I wondered, is there something to the idea that maybe land acknowledgements are not going to be taking place because of the concern for legal implications flowing from them?
No. I don't even know how to respond to that, Rob. So the bottom line is, if we're going to be successful as a province, we have to work in partnership with First Nations. This is a province that was settled largely without treaty. Other provinces aren't like that. We have faced significant court decisions under multiple governments of all different stripes that have established First Nations rights and title across the province. And that brings obligations on the provincial and federal government to work with First Nations. That is something that every government has to recognize the reality of and make a decision about how to address. Now, previously, we've seen that the decision about how to work with First Nations is to say, well, let's just go ahead and see how things turn out in court. Well, that hasn't turned out great. So our government has taken a different approach. We say from the very beginnings of, for example, a mining project, from exploration stage, that the partnership needs to start, because that is what will ensure the certainty and the delivery of an actual mine. Because we've had mines, massive mines, which would be hugely successful mines, not get a shovel in the ground because a different approach was taken. And we can't afford that. I just fundamentally believe that if we want to employ people in this province, including young people who need those opportunities, if we want to support economic activity in every corner of British Columbia, then we're going to have to come to terms with that legal reality for our province, and part of that means working in partnership with First Nations. And there is a big political discussion about land acknowledgements. You can acknowledge the rights of Indigenous people or not. It doesn't change the legal reality. And it will, though, change the outcomes at the end of the day. And I am proud of what we've delivered: 7 mines and mine expansions in 18 months. 2 of the biggest private sector investments in Canadian history coming to final investment decision, one of them this fall, LNG Canada Phase 2. All of these projects exceptional in human rights protection, environmental protection, carbon pollution, and money for communities, workers, and the provincial government to pay for public services. So, there are different approaches out there. We're going to show by results what we mean for British Columbians, because that's what they need.
Next, we'll head to Mark Page from the Black Press. Go ahead, Mark.
Yes, thank you for taking my question. Premier, I wanted to ask about the announcement that BC is looking at the potential of building multiple new major hydro projects. When evaluating those proposals, how will you balance, the industrial energy needs that, are going to, would obviously be electrified using those dams, and versus the, environmental, social, and cultural costs of, building massive new dams? And would this be the type of projects that you would hope to see taken on by the Major Projects Office?
Thanks. One of our huge advantages as a province is incredibly cheap, dispatchable hydroelectricity. This is a legacy left to us from previous administrations. And when the fact that we have that means that we can offer initiatives like the North Coast transmission line to industry and say, we can help you get off of fossil fuels, which is good for the environment, but also reduces your operating costs, which makes your mine more economically successful and allows you to get to final investment decision faster to employ British Columbians. We are using that electrical resource right now, and we know, because of what we hear from project proponents, that the more electricity we can produce, the more jobs we can create, the more prosperity we can deliver in the province. When you look at the fact that we have some of the lowest electricity rates in North America, that is a huge advantage for us, and we can expand that, whether it's through hydroelectric projects or intermittent projects like wind and solar. We can use the dams as big batteries. When the wind's not blowing and the sun's not shining, we can use the dams. When the sun's shining, the wind's blowing, we can use the wind power. This is a huge advantage for British Columbia. And so it is important for us to explore every opportunity, whether they're hydroelectric dams, how we use wind energy, but to really double down on that advantage for our province to create opportunity for British Columbians in these challenging times. And it's really exciting that we can do that. I want to recognize that major hydroelectric projects have impacts on communities. We called it the John Horgan dam and generating station because of the incredibly difficult decision that the previous Premier had, Premier Horgan had, in deciding to go ahead with Site C, given the impacts on community. These are not easy decisions. These are not foregone conclusions, but it is necessary for our government to explore every opportunity to create economic opportunity for British Columbians for generations to come, just like previous governments did.
Mark, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, just wanted to ask about your meeting with the Prime Minister yesterday. I mean, obviously, it came after an announcement that, the federal government is going to be providing $5 billion for all these different, housing and infrastructure initiatives in BC. Did BC, is BC offering anything in return? Could that be something related to a pipeline? And did these potential hydro projects come up in those?
Thanks. So the big topic of conversation between me and the Prime Minister is the fact that I am firmly of the opinion that British Columbia has not been receiving our fair share of federal attention and federal money. Now, I understand we're a long way from Ottawa. There's lots of opportunities to think about Ontario when you're like sitting in the federal parliament in Ontario. You're right beside Quebec. But British Columbia, as I said to the Prime Minister in a press conference yesterday, whether the Prime Minister wants to diversify trade, whether he wants to build homes, or whether he wants to hold a world-class sporting event, this is the place. And so sitting down with him, going through our projects that we have, including the Red Chris mine, where are the areas where we need to see that federal support and attention, getting his commitment on behalf of his government that will be the direction to the bureaucracy federally, that these are federal priorities, these are the Prime Minister's priorities, and you better step to it. That is crucial for us because we have so much on the go. We have so many opportunities here when we have a strong and committed federal partner, and I believe we do in the Prime Minister. So we'll get it in writing, we'll get it settled, and then off to work. Because it's not enough to put our name on a list at the Major Projects Office. We actually need to see the dedication of federal bureaucracy, time, and attention to BC projects, and the Prime Minister can set that tone with the MOU. We talked about electricity, we talked about the North Coast Transmission Line, we did not talk about major hydroelectricity projects in that meeting. These are very early stage explorations by BC Hydro. They're not at the stage of the projects that we're talking about. The projects that we're talking about are coming to final investment decision within the next 12 to 24 months. Ones that will move the Canadian GDP up, create jobs and employment, and support families and individuals with high-paid jobs. That's where our attention is. And fortunately for us, I think that's where the Prime Minister's attention is as well.
Next, we'll head to Fran Yanner with the Northern Beat. Go ahead, Fran.
Oh, hi. Thanks for taking my question, Premier. This question is for Premier Eby and President Carlick. I'm just wondering if you could provide an update on the Aboriginal title negotiations between Tahltan and BC and whether the geographic area under discussion for recognizing Aboriginal title is the whole asserted territory by Tahltan.
We are in conversations with Tahltan First Nation on a foundation agreement that is going to provide a structure for us moving forward, including in relation to crucial economic development in Tahltan territory. You heard the Minister of Mines mention 11 mines and more than $30 billion in potential investment, tens of thousands of jobs, huge opportunity for us. But the Tahltan First Nation has some very obvious and understandable concerns. Can we get pharmacies in our community? Can we have community centers? Can we ensure that for all the prosperity that's coming from our part of the world, can we make sure that some of that flows back to communities? Government has worked with Tahltan for a significant number of years now. We have a very good relationship with the central government. And one of the pieces that's been missing, though, in the conversation is the federal government. And so one of the topics that I raised with the Prime Minister yesterday was the importance of the federal government being at the table around these discussions with the Tahltan Central Government because of the very strong title claim that the Tahltan has, but also because of the incredible opportunity of collaboration here with Tahltan Central Government for all of us. And so the conversations are ongoing. I don't think there are any particulars that I can share here. except to say that the conversations are ongoing, and I appreciate the partnership of President Carlick and his team in that work, and look forward to the federal government being at the table with us as well. President Carlick?
Awesome. Thank you, Premier. And yeah, I kind of reiterate a lot of what you already kind of said there. We are in those discussions and working in partnership with the province of British Columbia to make those discussions progress along further, and bringing in our friends at the federal government to really help strengthen the conversations there and come to a really good outcome that's beneficial for Tahltan, BC, and the federal government moving forward, and giving some more certainty and clarity and benefits to our nation locally. So that's all I can kind of touch on without getting into particulars, as those discussions are ongoing.
Fran, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so I guess the core question was, are you considering, is this under discussion, is it the whole asserted territory for Aboriginal title? And if so, are you looking at, again, sort of similar to the Haida agreement, would you then enshrine that constitutionally? Is that the end goal here?
Fran, this is a very different issue than the Haida Rising Tide Agreement. We approach negotiations and work with each nation on terms that make sense for the provincial government and for the nation, in this case, the Tahltan. And so, you know, I think that at this point, all I can say is that we're in discussions around a foundation agreement with the Tahltan First Nation, and we hope to have the federal government at the table. And otherwise, I think we've covered it. President Carlick. Oh, sorry, 1 second. Can you start again, President Carlick? We didn't have audio there for the first second.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, just kind of ripping up what you said there. Yeah, we are in these discussions and we are moving forward. Rights over the home title, we do have jurisdiction in our territory. We are working towards that. It is going to be different than the Haida. Every situation is going to have differences in terms of what they need to do at their nation's borders and all of that type of stuff. So there is things to work through in this, but that work is ongoing.
Ben.
I just want to quickly say thank you to all of you, particularly Michael Goring. They are representing BC Mining Association. He took Team BC to Ottawa last week, and I joined him. So I want to say thank you for your exceptional work to support the BC mining sector.
Thanks very much.